Hi, this is Multi-Topic Talk. Welcome to a new retrospective, or I should say, welcome to part 2 of my Gotham retrospective. Today we cover the back half of season 2 and the entire season 3. We will take a look to viewership and comments on Rotten Tomato. And this is the audience we will look at because we don't care about these wannabe critique, but they are like paid to lie and sell something. Anyway, I hope guys and gals will enjoy. Let's do this. So here we are. I will be honest. The part number 2 is the very medium part. It was average, it wasn't great, it wasn't bad, it was in between. The back half of season 2 was godly awful. And the third season was actually interesting. So with that being said, let's go take a look to the rating, or I should say the viewership. Season 2 and 3 both had. I am very curious to see that. Season 2 started off with 4.57 million viewers, followed by 4.65 million. So a small increase. Maybe some people didn't know Gotham was back. Maybe some people heard about Jerome being back. And in case you forgot what Jerome is, it's like their version of Joker. Yeah. Before the mid-season break, we got the Son of Gotham episode 10 with 4 million, and Worse Than a Crime 4.51 million. So this means we can guess that the first half of season 2 was around 4 million viewers, which is good considering sometimes some shows do lose a lot of viewers, especially when they got 22 episodes each season and we enter a second season. Word of the Villain, the start of the second part in the back half of season 2. Mr. Freeze episode 12 has 4.12 million, which is good. A dead man feels no cold. Yeah, you get the vibe, right? 4.54 million viewer at that point. Now we see a drop, and I cannot blame anybody because the back half of season 2 was really bad. I really didn't like the back half, and based on what Cole Turner said on our weekly podcast, he agreed on me on a lot of things, and he enjoyed the second season less than me. Legion of a Rebel. 3.84 million. Transference with 3.62 million. Yeah, viewership not great in season 2 when we end this season. Keep in mind the show started with like 8 million. In 2 seasons they lost basically half of their viewership. And this is big considering it's Batman, or I should say in the Batman universe, or a prequel, or whatever. It should be bigger than that. Just like season 2, this season had 2 parts with a somewhat really good first part and a somewhat a bit better back half. Now, better to ring in hell. 3.90 million, almost 4 million to start the season. Burn the Witch with 354. It's good viewership. It's still like above 3 million. If it drops lower than that, considering it's Batman related, a prequel, it would mean something went wrong somewhere. Smile like you mean it. 3.60 million. The Gentle Art of Making Enemies. 3.46 million. And now, man, these numbers with the follow-up when it comes back. Oh, the Riddler got his name. 2.99 million. And these Delicate and Dark Obsession, 3.02 million. So it's about to lose a lot of steam, if I can call it that way. It's losing a lot of viewer, and it's kind of sad because I will be honest, Season 3 is much better than Season 1 and 2. And based on what I've seen so far with Season 4, Season 4 is great. Here we go with 21 and 22, a 2-hour special with 3,017,000 and 3,003,000. And it's weird because it should keep the same viewership. Maybe some people went to sleep, I don't know. Anyway, that closes off Season 3, and they were able to maintain above 3 million except for one episode, but maybe it's because of all of these breaks the Gotham TV show was taking. I remember watching this TV show on a weekly basis, and these breaks were really painful, and man, the wait was long sometimes. Here we are with the second part of Season 2 of the Gotham TV show. So, it was as bad as what I remembered from my first watch many years ago. This back half was terrible. This back half was bad. This back half had terrible pacing and plot device character are back. Yeah. Oh my. I don't know where to start. There are still a few positive here and there. It's a lie to say it's plain garbage. It's not good, but it's not She-Hulk low. It's not. Let's be honest here. It's unfair to say it's She-Hulk low. It's really unfair. In part 1 of Season 2, we had Silver, that was a femme fatale type character. She was using her charm to get what she wanted. This was interesting, right? I didn't mention it because it slipped off my mind, but now we are into part 2, and there's another character that reminds me of Silver. And guess what? Another means to an end. Another plot device character. Yeah, I'm talking about the family of Oswald Cobblepot. I liked the father. He was the only likable character. But the step family was godly awful. They were made evil. They were made the villain. And that was the purpose in the writing. These were one-dimensional character. These were character only to drive Penguin back to a dark place. And this is so sad. They wasted ideas. What if you drive Penguin mad in Season 3 instead of rushing through it in Season 2 when you just change the character? It's like they don't really want the Penguin to change because people are like, he's a villain, he needs to be a villain. The only moment he he turns maybe good in quotes. He needs to be put back on a dark path. This is a TV show, and I'm fine with Penguin going back to a darker path if it's well written by good writers. But here's the thing. Here it feels forced. It feels like they're like, yeah, we are kind of out of ideas with good Penguin. So let's make him bad again because we cannot really work him further because we are not the best writer out there. That's the feeling I am getting at. Don't get me started speaking about the captain having that kind of vendetta against Jim and not believing he was framed, not looking deeper into the investigation. It feels rushed. It felt rushed. They really wanted Jim to be in jail. They rushed through the plot. Jim in jail. I kind of like the idea, but it feels like that kind of plot need to be used in a later season in a TV show when you get to meet many villains and you can bring them back if you want. But season 2, you already send your main character in jail. It's too soon, too early, and here again, it bothers me. It bothers me because they rush through thing again. He is in jail for like 2 or 3 episodes max. Then he fake his death. Then he basically escaped prison. Okay, whatever. Yeah. He was being framed and people needed to be stupid in order for the frame to work. Bruce, great character as usual. And I will add LGBTQ plus ideas into the mix. It was used for humor and it was clever. At some point in the storyline I didn't care about, I actually hated it. Penguin is basically charmed by his stepsister. And he doesn't want that because he's like, you're like my sister. And then the brother says, maybe I can try. So you see, that was funny. Hinting at the stepbrother maybe being into that. That was interesting. That's representation that is there to serve the plot, not to serve any agenda. And this was also interesting because we get deeper into Penguin. They basically tell it's not really about the appeal of the act, it's about that guy being pure of soul toward his father and he didn't want to like backstab his father. And that was interesting. But here again, they rushed through it. It was good for like 4 episodes, 5 episodes, and boom, you flip him back into a villain again because that awful step family deserved it. Now, what else? Ed was interesting. I enjoyed Ed a lot. That back half is clearly not on the level of the first half. The first half was almost, I say almost, a masterpiece. It was a great first half. And if the entire season would be like that, I would be like, oh, that's good. But then we get episode 22 where Clayface is basically taking Jim Gordon's place. And people are buying it, even if it makes no sense. Until Barbara comes up. And Barbara was actually interesting in that scene. Even if she's just a plot device again, at least She kind of broke the fourth wall by telling us, look, it's not Jim. It's just not. And she make everyone else realize it's not Jim. But here again, why Bullock, a super detective, didn't found that by himself? He is a very clever character in season one, at least. He was very clever. He was a cynic. He was very negative, but he was clever. He had something in his brain. But I feel like in season two, he is a parody of what he was in season one. Bullock feel like comic relief in season two. And it's a bit sad because Bullock was my favorite supporting character in season one. And I also think this was the last time I could say that because I can't really remember the Bullock from later season. With that being said, seeing Bullock captain, oh my, that was a threat. I liked it so much. That was good. Bullock, man, make him captain again. If I remember correctly, Captain Barnes comes back in season 3 and then he leaves again. So Bullock fully become captain in season 3, I think. Cannot wait to go into season 3. I have only good memories of it. I remember the season being long, but even there, it was entertaining enough for me to disregard it. But that's many years ago. Maybe I changed. Maybe I won't like it as much. I really hope it will be better. Now, overall, I do think that second part is of season 2 deserves 7 out of 10. At first, I was like, it's 8, but I took out a full point because I feel like the entire step family could have been removed fully, and the experience would be better. And what could be also interesting is you take out the step family, you let the father die, and Penguin inherit from everything and being rich and stuff. And then in season 3, you do stuff to slowly turn back Penguin into a darker path. Or you save that for season 4 because, I don't know, they're like, oh yeah, we will keep him good, you know? Ed being in Arkham made sense. I liked it. Alfred and Bruce dynamic was amazing. Alfred, great character. Selena and Bruce together made sense. I liked it a lot. It was entertaining. They are good in screen. They make a good duo, a good team. And you slowly see Bruce becoming Batman. At the start of the season, you feel like he's too young, but then you see him grow and gaining a lot of maturity and a lot of brain power. You can see through things, and he's very smart. And this is the Bruce we all want for the future Batman. Now, as a whole, season 2, what are my thoughts? Well, first half, 9 out of 10. Second half, 7 out of 10. So it would make sense I give this 8, right? Because they both have the same amount of episode. But here's the thing. I feel like it doesn't deserve 8 out of 10 because this back half of season 2 was really, really bad. People coming back from the dead, I'm not a fan of that. Even if that was interesting because they say if you kill someone, that someone will haunt you, and now that was the truth. Jim killed Galavan and Galavan came back only to haunt him more. I kind of like that kind of inside joke or inside message, but I just don't think it deserves 8 out of 10. I take out a full point because plot device character remain an issue for me in the Gotham TV show, and we got that Season 1 and it's back in season 2 again. But at least this time around, pacing doesn't feel as bad as season 1. Like, there was a storyline they were trying to tell during the entire season this time around. And I think this is why it's better than season 1. And pacing fell off only in the back half. So I think the final score, for me at least, in season 2 is 7 out of 10. Yes. Now, before I move on with the video, I'd like to point this out. I enjoyed the way female characters are written in this show. They are good looking, they have brain power, they also have flaws. And they use their look to get their way. This is something that doesn't happen anymore in movies because now every woman needs to look normal or not appealing anymore, and all women in recent movies and TV show, they all need to act like men. And in this show, female are female and men are men. And of course, Selena has some aspect more masculine, or Tabitha has more masculine aspect to her, but they still feel like female character. So I do think the female character are written by competent writers. I think everyone working on the characters are competent. I think where they fail in this TV show is the storyline, because the characters are well written. It's more like what they do with this amazing cast that bothers me. So with that being said, cannot wait for season 3. I remember bits of season 3. So yeah, 7 out of 10 season 2.
Just from the very first episode in the intro with like the police interrogation, with the one guy holding the person hostage. It's like I like all these ideas they have on the table. I just think the execution and the writing, it just leaves a lot to be desired. But
Yeah.
like if they just had, like some sort of just improvement of that, like the Batman level writing or Stargirl level writing for that, then it was just, and I would enjoy this quite a lot, because everything else, the characters and like the tone and feel of it and everything it does a good job with it. But yeah, and I absolutely hated that plot twist.
Which plot twist?
The one you just mentioned, the second act. I wanted to I wanted to gouge my eye out like Fish Mooney did in the first season.
Okay, first half for me was masterpiece level, but the second half just ruins everything for too many reasons. Like, it was hard for me to nitpick issues with the first half, and this is crazy because Gotham, as a show, like right now I am rewatching the fourth season, and there's only a few moments where it got emotional for me, and when I had actual tears in my eyes because scenes and stuff. And one of the few moments, because it was a sad moment, is when Penguin loses his mother in season 2. That was one of the best episodes in the entire show for me, because you can feel the impact that left, even if she was like a supporting character from supporting character. Like, she was barely in, like in total she maybe had like 10 episodes in total, like in among 30, but you still feel the connection and you still feel what Penguin feel. I think that scene was really genius, and that was also to force Penguin into like going against Gallivan. And I think this was great for me. I don't know how you felt about that whole plot with
With
Galvan.
Penguin and yeah, Galvin. Uh, yeah, I was I mean, it was all right. I mean, what did you think of it again?
Well, I thought that was like Penguin Mother dying was emotional, and you can feel hatred, and you can feel like Penguin, like you can understand his motive why he will try to have his revenge on Galavan. You know, like it's I think it was well
Mm-hmm.
executed on that aspect because they give a good motive for Penguin to go after Galavan. And it was really sad to see like Penguin just losing his mother like that, like
Yeah.
the only person he really cared about and the only person that really
Yeah.
cared about him despite him doing wrong thing.
Yeah, I mean, it was all right for me, but yeah, I'll be honest. Again, I just on paper it seems like a very good idea. I just like again the execution. I feel like there was a lot of like missed opportunity there to make the scenes feel impactful with it, and
Yeah.
also when it comes to the character Penguin and his mother or his parents dying in like other medium and comics and stuff, I've seen it. Honestly, I've seen it done better many times where I don't not really a fan of this. I'll be honest. Like I just might be just like a dumb thing to say just because like there's other adaptations of it that I like more that then means I don't like this or makes this bad, but it's just I don't know. I just can't. It's weird, I know, but whatever. That's what I kind of think, honestly.
No, that's fine. That's fine. And now I got another small issue in the first half, but that issue is more bleeding into the back half. Is
Mm-hmm.
Jim killing Galavan? Now, at some extent, I understand what they were doing. They were paying off Bruce saying like, if you're a hero, does this means you need to really stick to your rules, or you can bend them to be the hero? You know, I forgot how he placed it, but then one of Jim moral was the law and stuff, and always respecting the code. And by killing Gallivan, he bent that kind of flaw he had within himself. You know, so by killing Gallivan, I do think it was interesting on a payoff aspect with his exchange with Bruce, but it bothered me a lot because then they have the whole investigation, and then Jim end up in prison for another crime he didn't commit because of Nigma, and I'm like, that's really that bothers me a lot. And I will say this: I'm glad Penguin actually covered for Jim. That reveals some kind of bond they have, or well, a bond Penguin believe they have, and that was interesting. But here again, I really don't like the fact that this early in the show we already have that kind of storyline where Jim end up in prison at some point. It's I think it's too early for a TV show, and they all
Yeah, that should definitely be later on.
and on top of that, they also rush through that prison storyline, and I've seen other prison storyline in other TV shows, and I feel like every other TV shows did a prison storyline better.
Yeah,
And
that's exactly what I was gonna say. I've also seen those type of stuff done in like base
yeah,
better in every other one. It's, with Jim and just or Bruce when he's older and just every other thing. It's just
yeah,
if again that's honestly like another main core issue I just have with Gotham. It's just like it isn't
yeah,
terrible or anything. It's just in comparison to all the other versions with the writing and execution. It's at best kind of how would I say competent at best and safe. Really,
yeah.
just playing by the numbers. That's all I would really have to say. I don't know.
What could have been interesting to explore with the payoff for Bruce line would be Jim being the one that beat down Galavan and Penguin shooting him down. that would still bend at some extent Jim morals because he
Mhm.
doesn't beat up people, and usually he's all about the law, but he will let someone with him kill a powerless person. Do you know what I mean? Like that could be a better payoff in my own opinion than just Jim
Mhm.
shooting down the guy. Like I'm like, if Jim is only witness, it's wrong. Don't get me twisted. It's wrong. Jim is like the ally of a killer, but at least he's not the one with the bloods in his hands this early in the show. You know, like that's just me. And even there, that episode was amazing. As I said, this issue bleeds into the back half and not really in the first half because I do think this episode left on some kind of impact. And you're like, wow, this happened, and it's like a shocking moment, and it's still like a good payoff for a line Bruce had earlier. So yeah, the back half is where the issues are bleeding like all over the place. Like I'm working on my video retrospective. It's like the trilogy, like other retrospective, and that's funny because when I
Yeah.
covered this back half in part two, I actually forgot to mention it, but I mentioned it in part three because in season three that comes back with other character. They just let out people from Arkham. It's ridiculous. That thing, you really need to suspend disbelief to 1000, and this bothers me because here's the thing. Gotham, yes, it's fiction, and yes, some aspect of it are grounded in their own world, not because it's Gotham. That's the reason. So sometimes I can say that's fine because it's Gotham. Like it can be realistic in that world they showed us and told us it was, but in real life it's clearly not. But they want me to suspend disbelief so much with that. Even within Gotham, just letting people out of Arkham because the plot needs them to be out.
Yeah, it's
This
like they didn't really do much anything
bother
interesting to just let them out.
this bother me. But I will be honest, Barbara and Penguin will both have good stuff after getting let out of Arkham. But the whole idea of just a institute like Arkham just letting people out after like 6 months, 7 months, when they killed people to end up there, it's ridiculous. It just doesn't make sense for me. And I will also go further with that kind of idea. Like in the first half, the start of the first half was great because the breakout of Arkham was made by villains, and they just let loose villains in the city, and that was interesting to see it at least once. And then you see like Jerome becoming like Joker number one, you know? And then he get killed off and he spawned the idea. I did think in that first half, we didn't mention it, but I did think that was very interesting. Him dying in the front of the camera, like, created the wave of Joker people and, like, maniacs and stuff. That I did like that. But then in the back half, they just let loose people because the plot need them out. it's it's sad. Um, now,
Many plot conveniences.
yeah,
Just
now,
I know it's Arkham. I know it's like fucking. They're supposed to be like how do you say like inept or whatever the word is when it comes to like their fucking job. Supposed to be kind of like bad at it, but it's like they're like you couldn't have at least done like some creative scenes to of how they get out, you know.
yeah,
Even just something like having like some well written, you know, lines of dialogue with yeah,
I think this new summary of this season describes season two well. I like how they word season two, and I agree 100%. Even if season two wasn't great, it was better than season one for sure. Now, the critics and the audience are somewhat similar, and it's surprising. Maybe they were not sold out, maybe there was no early access for the critics, so they were more honest. I really don't know. Let's read some of the audience comments here and there. Here we are with the first comment. In my opinion, this is the worst season. In general, it is very boring and very slow. Only a few episodes are saved. For the rest, it is almost bothering to watch. In general, the worst season, well, I disagree. There's a lot of character moments. The back half clearly is the reason why I didn't like that season, and I also think my co-host would agree on that. The back half messed up everything. For me, at least, the first half was great, but the back half really ruined everything. But hey, that's your take, and this is why we read some comment. I do not want to sound like an echo chamber. So let's move on to the next one. Changing up this review now that I've seen the final 5 episodes. Bringing fish was a stupid decision. I agree 100%. That has no weight over this TV show because everyone get to come back at some point or some shape or form, which is weird and sad. Maybe it's very comic booky or comic book accurate. I really don't know. I'm not really into comics, but hey, 2023, I am coming. I will be into comics. So, we've had enough of her. I agree. I like season 1 better, but I have high hopes for season 3 since Court of All and Prof. Pig are impossible to F up. Pig is in season 4, by the way. But yeah, Court of All is season 3. So, very interesting comment. I do like it a lot. This person gave 4 stars out of 5, which is like 80%, which is much better than the 2 stars and a half of the previous comment. 2 stars and a half is like 50, which is interesting as well. Definitely a step up from season 1, I agree. With better fight scene, I agree. Strong character dynamic, I agree. And plenty of awesome episodes, I agree. Even if it may have some minor issues with pacing and sometimes predictability. I will say this, predictable things can be good sometimes if you don't overuse them, but I think the biggest issue is how they forced in that hatred Ed has toward Jim, but hey, I won't repeat myself, and in the podcast I already covered that in depth with Cole. So yeah, let's keep up. Another like 80%, which is very good. So far, it's a huge hit for a lot of viewers. A focus on the supernatural and superheroes. That was my gripe with the first season. However, it's better executed this time. I agree. The professor really steals the show. Maybe they speak about Doctor Strange? Maybe? The professor. Pig is not there yet, bruh. It's season 4. 9 out of 10. 4 stars and a half, which is the highest score we got outside of these Spanish or Portuguese people. I don't understand Portuguese or Spanish. I am very sorry. Gotham is my favorite of all time. Interesting take there. The second season of Gotham finally begins a story focused on villain, I agree. Covering Arkham and its complication, I agree. Flees more from political war than in season 1 with awesome maniac climax. Another comment in Spanish or Portuguese, I don't know. Yeah, people enjoyed a lot season 2. And I like reading that kind of comment. I know I'm not crazy. A lot of you enjoyed season 2 more than season 1, and this is exactly what I am talking about. The way they made Ed hating Jim didn't make sense for me because Jim was always somewhat good to Ed. I didn't feel like he had any disrespect toward Ed, and it felt really odd. Ed had some kind of conflict with Jim, and it feels like they wanted that conflict so only like Ed could frame Jim for murder and then send him to jail. That's all I felt with that storyline, and that bothered me a lot because they could have flipped some places around. Bullock was always a jerk to Ed, and it would have made sense if Ed hated Bullock. But no, they wanted Jim in jail, so Ed needed to twist his mind weird ways to like hate Jim and frame Jim instead of Bullock. That was basically an easy prey. Bullock is a great character, but he was a freaking a-hole toward Ed the entire time. Like most of his scene is laughing at Ed, and Jim even defends Ed many times. He's like, "Yeah, Bullock, don't you think you should be easier on Nigma? You know, do you know what I'm getting at?"
Oh no, I do, and again, I I agree. Again, it's like him just turning on him like that with the writing. It was like, let me. What's a good comparison? It's like if the scene where it's like in season 3, just recently, like I believe it was like episode 7 or something, where they start kind of where they feel sort of betrayed by Courtney because she did something. It's like the equivalent of like if there was no build up to that, and
Yeah,
it's like she did something just small, and then they're just like, oh, well, we hate you now after everything
yeah,
prior. It's like that's the equivalent of that scene. It's like there was such low like effort of like placing yourselves in the character's shoes where it's actually realistic. It's just like, well, we have to. It's like the scene in Suicide Squad 2016 where it's like they're at the bar where there's just like, well, I guess this is the moment in the film where we're supposed to, get along and team up now and defeat the evil. That because the screenwriters told us to. It's like that.
it's facts. You are spitting facts.
It just does not feel natural at all.
Love makes some people crazy. I am just done watching Gotham third season. That was a really good season. I liked it a lot. And yeah, let's cover this season. This new season, or I should say, this season, has two parts, just like season 2. And this is very interesting, and this gives us a 22 episode season that doesn't have any filler. And this is great. I like that a lot. With that being said, the first part have 15 episodes, and I do think the first part in this entire season was the weakest. Now, we still have amazing episodes in that bunch, but we also have less good ones. And my biggest issues with this season, they are most likely in that first half. There are a few issues later on as well, so let's cover everything right now. This season is about love making some people becoming crazy. Some people are just nuts when they love. And it sounds cheesy, but this is what's going on. Penguin likes Ed, so he end up killing the girl Ed likes, hoping Ed will fall into his arm and the big dreamy stuff, you know. Out of love, we got Mario, one of the worst characters the entire show had, turning into a somewhat... Okay, let's be honest here. Mario is the worst part of this first part. I was about to say somewhat decent, but no, it's not. That character is really annoying, obnoxious, and he's jealous. And I'm like, okay, like some people are jealous in real life, but this is comedic. This is too far. Even before the virus stuff. And then it was infected and it became worse. Mario, really bad character. All he was a plot device to put Falcone and Jim against each other again. It was another plot device to slow down or delay or delete to delete Jim and Lee relationship. It was a plot device only to showcase how bad the virus is. It was only a plot device to make Lee hate Jim. Mario is a bad character. He was one-dimensional and he was boring. I didn't like him at all. Now, we speak about plot device character. Well, who else do we have? Frank, Jim uncle. Now, I will say this. He was okay at best. Mainly because of the mystery around him. Is he with Jim against the court, or is he with the court and he tried to make Jim a court member? At the end, when he dies to save Jim, it was great. I liked it a lot. But I do think it was not that impactful. I didn't feel emotion when he basically died for Jim, because I didn't connect well with that Frank character. And it's sad because I like the actor a lot. I've seen him in Black Lightning. Now, I will say this, the Gotham TV show, the only time before season 3 where I had tears in my eyes was when Penguin Mother died. And because I was really into Penguin, Penguin was a great character even in season 3 and season 2 as well. You get to relate to him, you get to feel what he feels. And when you see how broken he is after his mother died, it was amazing. And I feel like that was the only death so far that was really emotional. Now, we are still like speaking about part number 1 of this third season. This part is Mad City, I believe that's the name they gave. And we get a lot of content. There's a bit of the Court of All, but the Court of All stuff is really in the back half by episode 16. And the first half is basically making Bullock new captain and making the executioner being Barn leaving the GCPD. That was great. We also have Jerome back because everyone is brought back to life. And I will say this, Fish Mooney, I hate this character. That was... She's a plot device. Again, she's not that great. Now, I remember praising her a bit in season 1, but looking back, I'm like, I don't really care about that character. I like the power dynamic where she won't control over everything, and that's cool, but looking back to Fish character, that character was pretty boring because The actress is obviously playing herself. I liked a lot how they had Jim doing some kind of PI work outside of GCPD. That gave some different vibe. He was a bounty hunter. He was working for himself, and that was cool. I liked it a lot. And that season was also about healing. He needed to heal to go back at the GCPD and being back in the police force. And Bullock, as usual, is another amazing character. I liked Bullock a lot. Now, I will speak about an issue I had with season 2, but I forgot to mention it. But now that I have it again, I need to mention this. People just liberated from Arkham. First of all, they had Penguin, then they had Barbara. 2 murders. Now, you need to suspend disbelief. I really don't like that. It's Gotham, I know. It's a universe of its own with weird stuff happening left and right. But I still feel like a few months in Arkham, it's ridiculous. I mean, they are serial killer. You liberate them, they will kill again. As much as I can suspend disbelief, that bothers me a lot. Like, crazy from Arkham are just liberated when people tell so, because the plot need him to be out. Yeah. It's really sad. I don't like that. This season it was Ed. Ed was in jail, but Penguin wanted to use Ed for his campaign to become new mayor. So he basically threatened the guy of Arkham, and the guy of Arkham is like, yeah, I will give you Ed. Another plot device character, Miss Tringle number 2, the one that was killed by Penguin. The only purpose she had there was to make Penguin kill someone to push Ed into backstabbing Penguin. Oh my. Nothing against the actress. I do think she did a great job. But that character is bad. That character is really bad. I didn't like her at all. Now, what did they do to Lee with the season? Oh my, Lee! Oh. I feel like I will lose brain cell with Lee. She is awful this season. I like Lee in season 1 and 2. But in season 3, Lee is always against Jim, always angry, always pissed. She is one-dimensional. There's no other layer. She is just like the writer are like, we hate Jim, so we want to have this in the story, a character that really hate Jim. Like, it's ridiculous. Jim saved her life, but she was blinded by that. She was like, no, that's a lie. So they made someone that understood Jim, someone that loved Jim. They made her becoming some weirdo that cannot understand anything. She was really stupid this season. She was the most stupid being in the show this season. That was obnoxious, for real. Lee this season is awful. And I will repeat myself. Love triangle are bad. Really bad. And we had 2 of these. Jim, Vickyville, Lee. Jim, Lee, Mario. I will lose brain cell there. Lee was done dirty this season. They feel like they wanted to give her stuff, but they gave her nothing. They just made her like a bitch toward Jim because the plot wants her to be pissed at Jim. That was basically Lee in a nutshell this season. Tetch was great! I like that villain a lot. The backstory with his sister was unique and interesting. Alice was very interesting. This Alice is much better than the one in Batwoman, let's be honest here. The one in Batwoman is just female Joker, basically. Now, let's speak out about Jerome coming back to life. I kinda don't really like the idea, but hey, things happen, right? And I know what they will be doing with him season 4, and I kinda like it, so I guess that's fine. But here's the thing, in this show, I feel like there's no weight. Nobody can really die because first of all, it's a prequel, and second, when they do have the balls to kill off someone, guess what? They will be brought back next season. So right now, at the end of this season, Ed is frozen in ice. Will this remain? For real. Fish was pointless. Hugo Strange, a very good character in season 2, was turned into another blood device. The MacGuffin, the scientist everyone needs. And this is funny because he used to be very smart, used to be the big brain of the place, and this season it didn't feel like it. He felt like someone that everyone used because the plot needs everyone to use him. So Hugo Strange was just a plot device this season. I hate that. They diminished that character so much. They did dirty. It's like taking a knife and poking in the back of Hugo Strange many times and saying, "Are you bleeding?" But you see the blood coming out, but you're still asking, "Are you bleeding?" Bruce being a jerk to Selena many times, many times, many times. I was like, he wasn't like that in season 1 and 2. They just gave him these lines and these dialogue to make sure they don't really end up in a relationship together. It doesn't feel real or anything. It bothers me so much. Because let's be honest, they have chemistry on screen and you keep having weird dialogue. I mean, he snaps at Selena at the hospital when Alfred is in the hospital. I'm like, really? So, yeah, this season was weird. I liked a lot the Ush storyline where we have a fake Bruce replacing the true Bruce, and at the same time we have the true Bruce training under one of the League of Assassin minion. That was cool. I like that a lot. And the Ra's al Ghul tease at the end of the season was great. I liked it so much. And let's be honest, Lucius Fox is a great supporting character. I like my time with him. He always brings something to the table. He is entertaining to see. Just like previous season, people can't aim with their freaking guns. Just like previous season, plot armor is on 2000 on everyone they don't want dead. But this time around they killed Fish again. Will she be brought back? We will see. Oh yeah, and guess what? Ed doesn't shoot in the head of Penguin when he is by the river because they want Penguin alive to come back and have a revenge arc. Yeah, sure. I kind of like what they did with Ed having some kind of crisis when Penguin died. That was very interesting. I like that a lot. But the fact that Penguin comes back bothers me so much. Even if he's a good character, I feel like it takes away like the crisis Ed had. Ivy becoming Poison Ivy was great. Selena feeling more like Catwoman was great again. Double crossing people for money. That's a kid from the streets. At the end of the season, she get her whip from Tabitha, and Tabitha and Butch killing off Barbara was interesting. Butch dying was interesting. This season was a blast. Despite my issues, I do think this season was the best so far. And if I would give a grade, I think it would be 8 out of 10. At first it was 8.7, but I'm like, plot device character annoying me so much, love triangle annoying me so much, the first half bothered me a lot, so 8 out of 10. I think it's well deserved. 8 out of 10 for me is a lot, and I'm excited to see season 4 again because it's a blur. I remember League of Assassin. I remember parts of season 4, but it's far away, man. 5 years ago, I think. Maybe 4. I've seen season 4 when it first came out, so I think it's like 4 years from now. Roughly. So let's move on with the video.
Uh, Honestly, no. Again, the characters to an extent with like, as in like the just visually like the designs they picked, for all of them, like, and the potential for them and just being placed there, and then like the kind of tone and feel of the world. It's like that's all great. It's just everything else kind of ruins it for me. But
The
yeah,
writing is not always on point. Like sometimes the writing is good for some character, but sometimes we get stuff like Ed or the Step Family. It's all over the place, Gotham. For me
yeah.
at
For the
least.
most part, though, the writing is like the I would say the mediocre, not the terrible and not the good, but the mediocre to that kind of area of episodes that the Flash had. That's where I say the writing's kind of at with this.
Yeah, yeah. So what would be the grade you would give to season 2?
Again, I would give it probably like it's around a 5 out of 10 again. So yeah, the first one I believe I gave like around a 5.5. This
Yeah,
one around a 5. And it's just, I mean, the second half, let's just ignore that. Like, I'm sure when you, if you rewatch these, you'll just skip the second part, the
yeah,
second half. You'll just watch the first half.
yeah. Because, like, for me, the first half was easily 9.5, 9.7 out of 10. But the back half is a generous for me 7. And because the back half do ruin the first half, I cannot average both half. I can only give a 7 to that season. Because the first half is amazing, but then it's unwatchable, the back half. And the prison storyline, the wrong person is in jail, and the prison storyline only lasts for one episode. That bothered me so much. And it's the subplot with the step family. It's just, for me, it's a 7. Season 2 is a 7 because I cannot lie and say the first half was bad. I like the first half was great, but really what messed it up is the back half. The back half is really bad. Um, Anything else to add before we move to the Mummy?
No, that's about it. Just,
Ooh, this season took a massive hit. Critics' consensus: Gotham third season lets the series freak flag fly to thrilling effect, but it is far more fun to spend time with the supervillain than virtually any of the other characters. I actually agree, and now we see a small drop, and it's surprising a lot. I do think season 3 was much better than season 2, but maybe I am crazy, or maybe some people dropped the show after season 2. I don't know. Let's read some of the audience comment there. I see a lot of positive thing about this season. Better than season 1 and 2 in every way, I agree. 5 stars. Maybe you praise it too much, but hey, you have every right to do so. Amazing Batman prequel. 5 stars again. 4.5 stars, which is 90%. Recovery season from the previous one is the first a little less slow than managed to entertain, being even faster. There are many dead spots here too, but in general, the season entertained a lot and developed in a masterly way the growth of the bad guys. I actually agree. This is why this season is much better than the second one. No filler, and having Barnes turning into a villain was amazing. I liked it so much. This is Gotham, the bright blend of a strong crime-filled city with new villains to introduce themselves, some intense action, and a good structure from beginning to end, all while playing with our character flaws and redemption. I agree, this great season did a lot of things right. Here again, 4.5 stars. Amazing, right? 90%, 9 out of 10. Another Gotham is my favorite of all time. I cannot blame you, bruh. I can't. 5 stars. I love this show, thought it is not whiteout fault. It is whiteout boredom. Watch this show. 5 stars, I agree with you. Here, I will be honest, I wished we had more negative comments. But hey, I won't scroll down just to get more. That season was a blast for me. I will say this, it was a blast for me. Closing thoughts on the Gotham retrospective part number 2. That was a somewhat good middle. It was not great, not bad, it was in between. The third season was a major improvement for me. The back half of season 2 was really bad, and I am currently, as I am recording this, rewatching season 4. My watch of season 4 is actually really slow, and I will need to give it a really good shot this week so I can finish season 4 and 5 before part 3. But I will say this, it's much better than how it started, and it's good. I like that a lot. The start of the Gotham TV show was rough. It wasn't great. It was actually really mediocre. It wasn't good. And it's sad because they had good character. They just had bad writers. And that's the biggest takeaway with this. So I cannot wait to speak about the last 2 seasons in the next part. We are already by the end of this journey with Jim Gordon and young Bruce Wayne. With that being said, I hope guys and girls enjoyed. Like, comment, and subscribe. We will see each other in future video. Have a great day.